Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Okay, I have prepared some tips to help you with your project analysis that will later guide you on how to help you produce the right charts and visualization. Okay, so looking at your data, okay, so our data is about sales and marketing. Okay, so let's just see the data fields. Okay, for our raw data. Okay, basically you have data about sorry, I have hide some field. Okay, so you have date, time, cashier ID. Okay, so cashier here means your staff. Okay, the staff. Okay, you can change the name of the attribute if you want, as long as it means the same meaning. Okay, so this is cashier ID or staff ID, the cashier names or staff name. Okay, and then the product ID. So product ID is actually a code to represent a specific product that is being sold in this company. Okay, so we have three column just to specify on the product itself. Okay, for example, the code 114. Okay, it's of type product blouse. Okay, so as we can see in this company, they sell blouse and tudung. Okay, blouse and tudung, and for each blouse and tudung, they name their product with a name. Okay, for example, blouse KT, bird nest, or whatever names. Okay, and then for each product with that name, comes with a brand. Okay, so meaning this shop, they sells more than one brand. Okay, so they have dark hijab, owl hijab, Niloufar hijab, Lubna, and so on. So you have three fields. Okay, all of you have three fields. Okay, to describe about your product. So basically you can do a lot of things with these three fields. Okay, have you ever think of why that this data set comes with the three data fields about product itself? Okay, so meaning that something can be done with it. Okay, you can manipulate this field, you can come up with some analysis. Okay, maybe you want to look by category of product. Okay, the performance of product by category. Okay, so here category means blouse or tudung. You want to know within between blouse and tudung, which one is the more popular. Okay, in your company. I mean, your customer prefer to buy your tudung more or blouse more from your company. Okay, you can also analyze the product name. Okay, among all the product, which one is the most top selling product. Okay, and you can also analyze by brand. Okay, and you can also use these three columns to see which product and which product name and which product brand, and you can see the patterns of sale. Okay, so this product ID is a code to represent or to search. Okay, because all product or individual item, so it has a unique code to represent the product. Same goes to a cashier or staff. So Sharon, this is her staff ID or cashier ID. Okay, so this four fields is basically about product, and this is also about product. Okay, but this is a column to specify the price for this particular product product ID 114 of type blouse, and the name is blouse Katy, and the brand is brand Lubna. Okay, so in this transaction, in this first row, on the date of 2nd of January, the cashier Sharon has made a transaction or managed the transaction of three quantity. On that particular day, three quantity of product sold. Under this code. And total price here basically is the calculation of price times quantity. So this is example of another project by students. So they actually hard code. So basically what you have to do is if you can see in your project, there is a formula here. So basically the formula here is equal to product price times with the quantity, and you get the formula, and you get total price. So it's the same thing, it's just that this is hard coded. Okay, so okay, and we have the last column is on customer status. So this is to show for this particular transaction on the 2nd January at 11 a.m. this customer has bought 3 quantity of item, okay, from this shop. Okay, the amount is 210, and this is the customer status. Probably this customer has already become member to this to your company. Okay, and then at 2 p.m. okay, there is also another customer who bought 2 quantity, but he or she is not a member yet. Okay, so basically something can be done here. We can create some analysis or visuals about customer status. Okay, so all this from A to L is the original data sets. Okay, the original column field or data field. Okay, and this yellow colored field is what I call as derivative attribute. Okay, so I will explain this later. So let's just go to the tab of ideas for analysis again. Okay, so from this raw data, okay, what you can do is, how do you want to think of what you can do or what you can analyze? Okay, I mentioned that digest the information, digest the data field from A to L. Look at the date, look at the time, what can we do with it? Okay, this is about business and marketing. Okay, oh, we have information about staff, so something can be done. We can probably analyze staff performance. Okay, we can analyze staff performance by amount of sales, okay, by amount of money, amount of revenue collected by that particular staff, because we know that for, okay, each date or each row is a transaction. Okay, so in this transaction, okay, we know that the amount of sales made by Sharon, okay, is 210 ringgit, and then in the next transaction is at 300 ringgit. So something can be done. Yes, we can analyze staff performance, and we can go by looking at the number of sales, amount of sales, okay, number of transaction. Okay, number of transaction is how many transaction that Sharon performed on 2nd of January. Okay, so these are by number of transaction that Sharon performed. And we can accumulate with also on another date. Okay, so you have to know, okay, what attribute, okay, to select, or when you do your analysis. Okay, so and then you can also know by the product sold, meaning that by the quantity, how many quantity, okay, sold by Sharon. Okay, so Sharon, okay, you can add this up, so you get the quantity as compared to Felicia. So Felicia, how many quantity that she sold for this date, so you can count. Okay, you can analyze that. So that is staff. And we can also, okay, sales, there is information about sales. Okay, so we can analyze sales performance. As you said, you want to know how does your company perform. Okay, the sales, you can go by total RM, okay, total amount, okay, total RM, okay, or you can go by average value. Okay, average value. So then you have extra parameter. We have elements of date and time. Okay, so we want to know sales performance, but you can be more specific by looking into a particular month. Maybe is it in January you want to know your sales performance, you want to know in month of May or December, or you want to know during, festive season. For example, Christmas is on December, Chinese New Year is on February, or maybe during Hari Raya. Okay, so you can select the particular months. Or maybe you want to know, okay, you want to know by week. Okay, so just from the date, okay, from the date information here, you can analyze that. Okay, so you can view the date by week. Okay, so your sales performance by week. So this first week in January as compared to second week in January. So, or the third week of January and fourth week of January. So which week that we perform, or the company perform the best. Okay, so it's up to you. And then you can go by quarterly months, meaning that every 4 months you want to know from January to April. So what is a what is your company's performance as compared to the second quarterly of the year from May, June, July, August, and the third quarter from September, October, November, December. So it's up to you. Okay, so you can manipulate that because we have date. Okay, and then in terms of operation, okay, so we have time. So the time here can give you some idea that this is at when the transaction is happening. Okay, so you can analyze your data. Okay, you can analyze, okay, at which time that your business is actually very busy during the day. Okay, you can check. Okay, you can analyze the peak hours or off peak hours, okay, of your business operation. Okay, then you can make some, justification. Okay, so if let's say in the afternoon or during the evening, okay, is where your customer the number of transaction is high. Okay, so probably you need more staff. Okay, it helps organization to make decision. Okay, more staff to be work during the peak hours. Okay, then as I mentioned just before, the customer, okay, you have, okay, the membership status is you can manipulate some, you can analyze something regarding the customer, okay, customer information, not really customer information, the customer membership. Okay, so something can be done. Okay, and then we have okay, can go by staff. Okay, so staff, okay, can go staff performance or cashier performance. Okay, in terms of amount of sales, okay, number of transaction that she perform or number of products sold, okay, by that particular cashier or staff, as I explained before. Okay, so that for each data that is given to you, there must be something can be done. Okay, you have just to think. Okay, think of how to do that. And then for product, okay, so for product, as I mentioned, we have 3 categories. Okay, what I mean is category here is here we have 3 column here just for here 3 columns here, so something can be done with this 3 levels of category of product. Okay, so you can analyze product performance in terms of its popularity, which product is popular, which one is not popular. Okay, the 3 level product categories can give so many insights. Okay, you can do this using a pivot table. Okay, you can see here later at pivot table tab. Okay, and you have learned that also in your tutorial. Okay, and so this is another element that you can marry with each of these analysis. You can combine date with sales. Okay, time with operation. Okay, staff with date. Sorry, date means the time you can see by which month and so on. Same goes to the others, product and also customer. Okay, and then if you remember in your tutorial, I think this one is in the last tutorial, in the dashboard analysis, where the data, you can group the data. If you want to ask me, madam, how can I separate the date, because I only have date, but how do I know what month is it, what week is it? Okay, so you can use these features in Excel. Okay, you can group the data. Okay, you can group according to minutes, hours, and so on. Okay, for some, I think, I'm not sure, from version 2016 and above, it is automatically done for you, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, but the version below, you have to select, and then they will do the grouping. Okay, because if it's 2016 above, if I'm not mistaken, if it's about date, it will automatically group, okay, the date by month and so on. But you can also change, okay, the grouping type. Okay, and then this is also another tips. Okay, so what can you do, okay, in order for you to apply or to implement, okay, this kind of analysis ideas? What can you do? Okay, so relate back with what you have learned in your Microsoft Excel tutorials. Okay, so these are the tutorials that you can apply particularly in this your project. Okay, tutorial 2 and 3. Okay, the introduction, yes, that's the basic one, so you can also refer this. Okay, but I'm sure everyone is now master of using, okay, Microsoft Excel. Okay, tutorial 2 and 3 is how to create charts. Okay, so this is later. And then extraction is more towards migration. Cleansing is more we doing exercise, okay, in the class, where we combine it with our theoretical, okay, lecture, okay, where some of the assignment are more relate to your theory, okay. But for your project, the next one is the tutorial 7, the logical and if function. This is very useful for you, okay, to manipulate the data, okay, in order for you to create some analysis, okay, based on some conditions, okay. And then data validation is up to you, because if you ask the user, okay, or audience to insert data, then you might need data validation, but it's up to you if you might need it, okay. But I'm just pointing out the one that you will, definitely try to implement, okay, in your analysis. And then we have VLOOKUP function. Okay, this is useful if you want to do some forecasting, for example, to know which product is you want to continue or discontinue, whether to sell it or not, because due to unpopularity you might not want to sell it next year, okay. So from the data that you have along the year, okay, and from the number of quantity, okay, then you can get some insights, okay, of product forecasting. So you can use VLOOKUP function. So pivot table, okay, yes, pivot table is to help you to summarize data and to come up with your visualization and to understand the data. And lastly is to create interactive dashboard. Yes, you will create a dashboard. You have to pick, okay, which part of your analysis, okay, that you want to show. Maybe probably about type of products, okay, or maybe sales. So up to you, okay, as long as you produce one dashboard. Okay, next, I know that everyone is quite confused with derivative attribute. Okay, so just want to explain to you again. Okay, a derivative attribute is any attribute that can be derived by calculation from other data in the model. So the issue of derivative attributes should not concern you during the logical design phase, other than knowing that they should not be model. Okay, so don't worry much about the second statement. So it's just to tell you that derivative attribute is a new attribute that you derive. Okay, it doesn't come from the existing data. Okay, not from the existing data field. You derive. Okay, you create another field. Why? Because you have to, because in order for you to analyze something, you have to modify something, so that you will get a more effective analysis and more effective visualization. Okay, so it means you are creating additional attributes or column in the existing data set. Why do you need it? Okay, and how do you do it? Why? Okay, these are the reason why. Okay, so the reason why here is we relate this with data cleaning, because in the existing data, as you know, your data, the given data is already clean. You have no much issues, okay, with the existing data. Okay, it's just that sometimes you need to do some cleaning or data cleansing, okay, just to help you come up with effective visualization or effective analysis. So the one in the yellow colored here is what I meant by derivative attribute. Okay, so here for example, week 1 is just that because we have just date, so just want to know, okay, this is week 1 for January. Okay, this one is week 2 for January. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Okay, you can use formula, or you can do it manually. But imagine you have 10,000 million records of data, you are not able to do that manually. So that's why we need to use logical and if function to help you to do that, to automate the process. Okay, and then we have month January, because you just see that, okay, if it's okay, you know that this is the date and this is January. So it's up to you if you want to do it. If you don't want, then that's fine. But some people, this is also data from previous students. Okay, I also don't see why she needs this data, but there must be a reason. Okay, so you can do that. Okay, so this here, so this student, they colored, okay, they put different color just to for their reference. Okay, easy reference. So blue is within, they know that this is during February, this is March, and so on, because you know that this data is about 1 year data. Okay, 1 year business operation. Okay, come back to derivative attribute. Okay, so these are the reason. As I said, we need it because we need to manipulate something. Okay, because first, okay, these are all data cleansing, you can refer to lecture slide chapter 2. Okay, first, because you need to remove certain character, word, symbol from the existing data set. So if you want to do that, how do you do it? Okay, you can just remove it. Okay, remove the extra symbol, character, or fixing typos. So you use, maybe you could use find and replace. Okay, and then second is because you want to group existing data sets with a similar basic meaning or themes. Okay, so if you want to do that, so that is what we call as we apply the stemming process. Okay, so stemming is like you are actually grouping the data with the basic meaning, and then you will code. Okay, you will create another column and create and label okay, the new grouping with a new word. Okay, with a new information. So that is stemming. Third, because you want to classify existing data set into certain category. This is quite popular. Okay, in your project, you want to do grouping and classification. Okay, for example, here I just show you simple. Okay, simple example. For example, by sale, so you want to categorize. Okay, if the sale is more than 1,000 ringgit, you said, okay, I want to say that we want to recognize it, or we want to classify it as excellent sale. If it's more than 500, good. More than 200, fair. Maybe less than 200 ringgit is poor. So how do you know this? Okay, it's up to you. You are the one who define. Okay, you are the one to define. Your company or your top management whatsoever give you the guideline. Okay, so these are the condition or the rules. Then this is the status of the category, you name it. So when you do this, okay, you can use logical and init function to create a function to apply the rules or condition for each data cleansing techniques. Or you can also use any other means, meaning any other way that you can use to apply the data transformation as you wish. For example, using the Excel find and replace. Okay, so this is Excel find and replace. Okay, so if you do this, okay, of course I didn't put any formula here. So when you do that in your report, let's say this is you are doing grouping and classification, so you copy the formula, tell me in the report, this is the formula that you do for this grouping or classification. So it will help me to understand your analysis. Okay, and then the next one is tokenization and coding, is because you want to recode existing data into certain convention. Okay, for example, like this. Okay, for example, data dia the data is date, and you want to rename it as maybe week 1. So from this data, from this date, so it's week 1. So you just recoding back. Okay, this is week 1, this is week 2. Same goes to month. So these students are recoding. Okay, recoding, not recording, recoding. Okay, the date. Okay, in January to month January, and for February, okay, they will state as February. Okay, so that is tokenization or coding. Okay, and then the fifth one is chunking. So maybe you want to chunk existing data set into certain components. Okay, so chunking, for example, the staff ID, maybe it's too long. Okay, I know, maybe probably they create the staff ID based on their student ID with the year intake. Okay, so you might not want that. Okay, so you said, oh, it's too long, then you want to chunk the data. Okay, so you can chunk, so you just remove the 2017. You can use find and replace, for example, but this is not what I explained here. It's not what you have to apply in your project. So you have to know, you have to decide, okay, whether it's possible to do, whether you want to do it. Okay, so relate back to your objective. Let's say you propose a different objective before, then when you view my video, then you think, oh, I want to change that because I got some insights from this explanation. Okay, doesn't matter, just change, but then you have also to update your objective. Okay, basically you are submitting your report with your project. Okay. Okay, and then the next one is part of speech tagging. Okay, this is when you want to, normally when we have data. Okay, as the part of speech tagging is from the social media data, for example. Okay, we have customer comments and feedback. So we want to, we want to tag, okay, into sentiment analysis. Okay, if this is the statement, if this is the input, then we say that this is happy, sad, or maybe no comment whatsoever. So we tag, okay, the data set into some sentiment analysis. That is also part of speech tagging. So how do you assess that? Yes, if you in the real world, okay, you have to use some algorithm to do that. But if it's a smaller scale, so maybe you can use find and replace. You can also use logical function. If you find certain word, then replace, okay, certain keyword and replace with another word. Okay, I mean, you create the field and you will set that for that particular sentiment word, okay, sentiment analysis word. And then the last one is because you can also apply negation handling if you want to invert the polarities of certain word from existing data, for example from negative to positive or vice versa. For example, let's say this is the data 1010, then okay, if it's true, then you want to invert into false instead of doing one by one, so you can just use, okay, there's the reason why you want to do that, okay, it's depends on the analysis, okay, why we want to invert the data, okay. So this is another thing, okay, in data cleansing. So of course this one you can use okay, you can use the not function, okay. So I want you to understand that derivative attribute is a new attribute that you create, okay, that you might want to come up with when you are doing your analysis. Okay, for example, here we have, I do average sales and sales classification by amount sold. Okay, so it's up to you. So as you know that in your project, it is required that you should create at least one derivative attribute. If you could do more, then that's better. Okay, I mean more marks for that. But if you cannot do that, also that is fine. Okay, but of course there is no little mark for, I mean, for the derivative attribute. Okay, so this is to show you the meaning or the concept of derivative attribute. So it is different with pivot table. Okay, so derivative attribute, you have to understand that this is another additional attribute that you create, okay, from the existing data, because in the real world we cannot just, you know, if you have like 1,000 records of data of fields, okay, 1,000 maybe 100 and thousands of your data field, and then sometimes you know, sometimes you have to manipulate, you have to come across the process, okay, of coming out with derivative attribute in order to produce effective visualization. You have to remember that in the data transformation we have also data merging. So this is probably comes from one database, but you might in the real world, in the data analytics world, you are combining, okay, more than one database. So you have to do this, okay, you have to do this data cleansing. You have to derive new attribute. Okay, next is pivot table. Okay, as we know, pivot table, you can do many of things with it. So pivot table is used to summarize, to sort, to reorganize, to group, to count, to do total or average data sort in database. So it allows users to transform columns into rows and rows into columns. Okay, pivot tables are the perfect solution when you need to summarize and analyze large amounts of data. Okay, so in terms of what you can do is I mentioned, okay, in the ideas for analysis, we have the element of date and time. Okay, so where you can group, okay, the date and time by grouping according to months, hours, and so on. So here, this is what you can do from there. Okay, in the pivot table you can do that, then you can come up with visualization. Okay, and you can also, by the product category, you can look the product. Okay, I'm giving you this example. Okay, so you can play around with product brand, product type. Okay, is the, I mean, product, yes, product type, blouse and tudung. So of brand, particular brand. Okay, this one, it consists of two, okay, item, brand, and product. Okay, but if you want to add another third one also, you can. Okay, for example, this one, it use three. Okay, brand, what else? Okay, name, and oh, this is also two. You can actually combine three categories in one chart. So it's up to you how you want to produce your visualization. So it's based on your analysis. Okay, so this is what I meant by 3 level of categories. And this one, okay, so the sales, okay, by monthly sales, because you have you know, you have arranged by month, so you can show, okay, the product performance or the sales performance by month. Okay, And this one is about staff performance. Okay, for staff performance, okay, you can use this pivot table, but then as you can see here, okay, I use derivative attribute as one of the attribute, okay, that I use in the pivot table in order to come up with the chart. Okay, so basically what I mean here, for this pivot table, you can also use the new attribute that you derive, yeah, which is the derivative attribute. Okay, so come back to the raw data. Okay, this is raw data. So I'm doing sales classification by amount sold. Okay. Okay, so I'm just in this one, okay, I just made a classification that if, okay, you can see here, if the sales K2, okay, the total price, if the sales is more than 1,000, so I said it's excellent, okay. This is referring to the example at derivative attribute I showed just now. If the sale is more than 500, it's called average, okay. And if it's more than 200 is good, otherwise it is poor. Okay, so if you're confused, go back to this derivative attribute. Okay, so this is the category: more than 1000 excellent, more than 500 good, more than 200 is fair, and less than 200 is poor. So this is the formula here. Okay, I go back to raw data. So here, okay, so this is what I did here. Then I have this classification because I'm looking at the amount sold. Then this is the classification. Then I want to use this as one of the attribute. Okay, I'm not just going to use the existing attribute, but I want to use this, okay, in my visualization, in my graph, in my chart. So I go back to pivot table here. So you know, when you create the pivot table, okay, this is also one of the field that will be part of the list, that will be contained in the list of the attribute in your pivot table fields. Okay, so I just select this, okay, sales. Okay, so this is sales classification by amount of goods. So this is at this x-axis, so this is the category, okay, here. And then because I want to know staff performance, so I want to know which staff is doing good or not, okay, how much that they managed to sell. So I select cashier name and I put that at legend, and then I put values of count of total price by total price, or by the price sold. And then I get the, okay, I get the analysis, okay, I get the visualization of staff performance. Okay, so this is not the only way for you to analyze staff performance. Okay, so this is just an example that I gave you, okay, where I just want to show that from derivative attribute, okay, I can create charts, okay, using, okay, this new attribute here. Okay, so I just play around and then just think of, okay, to see staff performance, okay, by sales that being done by them, okay, by amount of sold. So that's why if you see here, okay, sometimes you might say that, oh, it doesn't look logic, madam, because you are showing on the chart of poor, good, excellent, average sales classification, but then for how come Sophia can be poor performance, good, excellent, and have average performance at the same time? Okay, so you have to understand that this data, this field is about sales classification by amount of sold. So amount sold meaning that we go by the row, okay, by row. So we see that, okay, this amount as compared to another amount. So if it's 200 less than, if it's 200, then it is average. If it's less than 200, it is poor. Sorry, if it's 200 is good, less than 200 is poor. Okay, so 400 is good. Okay, so if you have 500 100 here, 158 here is poor. Okay, and then if you go by okay, excellent is the sales is more than 1000, because that is the condition, the rules that we set, okay, here in this sales classification by amount sold. That's why in this pivot table here, okay, if you want to argue why each staff has performance at different classification of sales, because the sales classification is by the amount of sold. Okay, it goes by daily transaction, okay, by each transaction. So you can do a different way of showing staff performance. Okay, you can show how does Sophia, Shannon, and Felicia perform by looking into the quantity of product that they sell, that they sold, managed to sell, or by product name, product brand, okay, and so on. So don't think that this, the one that I show here, is the only solution. Okay, so I'm just giving you idea, because I know, because we are in this ODL session, okay, learning environment, so it's hard for us lecturer to convey to you, okay, how to, okay, how to come up with this kind of analysis. So I'm just giving you some ideas. Okay, so please don't copy what I'm doing here. So I'm just telling you or explaining to you what you can do. Okay, so please play around. Okay, don't follow my example. Okay, because I know that everyone, you have done your objective, but of course you can change your objective. Okay, so this is just one way to show that the derivative attribute can also will appear in your pivot table and can be selected as one of the field in your pivot table, and you can create charts from that. Okay, so as I said, see here that you have 3 levels of category, so you can have different view. Okay, so if it's 3 level of category here, or 2 level, you can play around at here at rows. You can have 2 attribute at the same, okay, same section. Okay, if you can play around, if you put item brand at the top, product at the below, then you will see the difference. So trust me, try and play around. If you change the order of the row section of product and item brand, if you put item brand at the above, product at below, and see what happens. Okay, what happens, or the transformation you can see on your chart. Okay, so basically pivot table, okay, it's not the same as derivative attribute. Pivot table is for you to summarize the data, to see the possibility of building charts. Okay, putting attribute as column or as row, and so on. Okay, and so derivative attribute is new attribute that you develop, okay, that you created, okay, because of some justification that you need to do it. Okay, okay, and then you have also learned logical and if function. Okay, so if you still remember tutorial 7C, okay, the tutorial that you do, so you can actually apply this logic, okay, these rules, okay, all this function, okay, in the when you want to analyze your data, especially when you are creating your derivative attribute. Okay, so this is what I meant by using the functions and formula here in derivative attribute. So you can apply, you can use any logical and if function. Okay, so you have to create the formula here like this. So that is logical and if function that you learn, so you can apply that. Okay, the last one is VLOOKUP. Okay, so how can you apply VLOOKUP? Okay, I saw that 1, 2 to 3 groups have some insights, okay, of one have objective of forecasting products. Okay, for example, they want to know which product is popular and they want to still continue, and the one that is not popular, they want to discontinue the product. So you can apply VLOOKUP, okay, to perform that forecasting analysis. How to do that? Okay, so I'm just giving you some idea, okay, but you have to figure out yourself how to do that, okay, if you want to do it. Okay, so basically for example, you can go by product, okay, and then you can go by 104, 105 is the code of the product, and then you can check, okay, the performance of the product, because your focus now is to forecast about product. Okay, so you go by product, then you want to know, okay, product here has its own code, and then you want maybe to go by months and to see for this product, for example, blouse exact, for month January, how much does it sell, okay, that you receive, okay, or that you manage to get, okay, from selling blouse exact. from January to December, you will see the pattern. Okay, so you can see that. Okay, and then you will but how do you know whether this amount is okay or not okay? So that's why you need to do classification. Okay, so the classification is the reason why you need to perform data cleansing. So that is to help you to make selection. Okay, so that's why you need to come up with this derivative attribute of performance. Okay, so you can set the performance. Okay, whether it's below target, is it moderate achievement, or achieve the target. So you are the one, okay, your company, okay, so you determine, okay, the sales amount is that it is not based on a specific formula, but it is you that determine the formula, the rules, okay, the condition. So okay, in this company, for example, they say if the sale is up to 400, so there is a moderate achievement. So but if it's below 400, so it's below target. Okay, so if it's below target, then you want to stop order. Okay, so if it's more than 800, for example, it's achieve target, then you will sustain. Okay, so below target, stop order, moderate achievement, sustain, sorry, achieve target. So you want to revise order, means you want to order more, okay, for next year, for example. So that's how a business run. Okay, so you can apply VLOOKUP here. So you set the criteria, okay, and then you go by product, okay, this is item code, and then you go by month, you see the performance, you get the sales amount. Okay, so how to do that, you have to figure out yourself. Okay, this is the performance, and you will get the solution, you got the decision. Okay, so I hope that you can figure out, okay, how can you apply those Excel that you have learned into this project. The VLOOKUP, logical and if function, pivot table, okay, where you can apply that in your derivative attribute, where this is also comes from your okay, from the okay, like chapter 2, okay, theory, and then this is your idea for analysis, and then okay, I hope you understand, okay, my explanation, okay, about the derivative attribute besides your existing data set. And good luck for your project.